We have absolutely got to talk about the huge Demon Slayer news. With the conclusion of Season 4, it is clear that Ufotable has once again been cooking, and this is yet another instance of some of the best animation I have ever seen. At this point, it's just being unfair to the other anime studios. But with the epic finale of the Hashira training arc, they dropped a massive bombshell of an update. The final arc of the entire series is going to be adapted over 3 full-length animated feature films. This is a really interesting choice, and I wanted to dive a little deeper into why this decision makes sense. So you boys better grab your swords and lock in, cause here we go. Okay, so my first question was, when are these movies going to be released? They were just announced a few days ago, and full disclosure, there are no solid release dates. But we know that Ufotable has released Demon Slayer content every year since it first came out, so it's a safe bet that we will most likely see the first movie hit theaters sometime in 2025. There were only 8 episodes in the Hashira training arc, so presumably they are already working on the upcoming films, which is sick. Some of you are probably wondering why they chose to do movies instead of just another season or 2 of anime. It's funny because Ufotable has actually done a series of 3 anime films before, when they adapted Type Moon's Fate Stay Night with the Heaven's Feel trilogy. If we examine the release schedule of those films, it might give us a pretty good indication of what's to come with the Infinity Castle movies. The first Heaven's Feel movie was released on October 14th, 2017. The second was released on January 12th, 2019. And the third was released on August 15th, 2020. The time in between the first and second film was about 1 year and 3 months. The time in between the second and third film was about 1 year and 7 months. It will most likely take up to a year or a year and a half for the production time of the Demon Slayer films. The Heaven's Feel trilogy all had about a 2-hour runtime, so I believe that's probably where the Demon Slayer movies will land as well. But this still doesn't answer the question of why movies? Why not another season or 2? Well, for this answer, there are a couple of reasons, but we should start by looking at the Mugen Train movie. In 2020, when Mugen Train came out, it set a new record for Japan's highest-grossing film of all time. It beat out Miyazaki's Spirited Away, which had held the previous record for 19 years. Mugen Train grossed 40.43 billion yen, which roughly equates to about $250 million. But that's not the only record it set. In 2020, it was the highest-grossing film worldwide, raking in over $500 million at the international box office. These are astronomical numbers, and keep in mind, this was during the pandemic when theaters were shut down and people weren't going to the movies as much. Also, Mugen Train is an arc that happens in the middle of Demon Slayer's story. Seeing as how these new movies are going to be the conclusion of the entire franchise, I think it's safe to say that all 3 of them are probably going to obliterate all of these records once again. It makes a lot of financial sense to do films instead of seasons. And speaking of good financial sense, I wanted to let you guys know that Anime Art Academy is having their summer sale right now. If you've ever wanted to learn how to draw manga or anime but don't have a trust fund or a massive inheritance that you can use to pay for art school, this might be the opportunity for you. There are digital lesson bundles that you can purchase and follow along at your own pace. The courses were designed by Japanese industry professionals, and my favorite part about this product is that once you join the academy, you can submit your artwork to these pros for constructive criticism and feedback on how to get even better. The sale ends on July 31st, so please don't miss out on it. But if you're unsure about making a purchase, they offer a free taster course so you can try it out before you buy. Any purchase that you make using my link will help support my channel, but more importantly, I think it's a great opportunity for your own journey as an artist. Links will be in the description and the pinned comment. Thanks. But anyways, with this last trilogy of movies, there are some pros and cons to doing film instead of television. So let's cover the good first. Anime films tend to have much more money allocated to their budget than anime TV series. This is true in the West as well. If you look at Star Wars, the first season of The Mandalorian was estimated to cost about $120 million, whereas films like Rogue One cost about $200 million, and The Rise of Skywalker cost around $275 million. With these bigger budgets, it usually means a pretty significant increase in overall production quality. It also means that the story is much more focused. In a movie, you don't have a lot of time for filler, and this is where you get to the bad news. Well, it's actually great news for us as the audience, but it's rough for the animators. These movies are going to be heavily focused on combat. It's a safe bet that their production times will most likely increase because of this. Combat is one of the most time-consuming things you can ever animate. It's literally all motion and choreography. It takes a lot of time to get right, and I hope that Ufotable doesn't rush the process. Also, I've seen this criticism floating around that really annoys me. It's the idea that Ufotable is just milking the Demon Slayer story as hard as they can. I understand why people think this. You see big studios do it a lot. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. Attack on Titan Final Season Remix, Last Attack Big Titan Boogaloo Rowdy Rumble Finale Part 2. I get what people are trying to say, but if you look at the numbers, you'll find that Ufotable really isn't milking anything. Mugen Train was a movie with a 2-hour runtime, and it covered 12 chapters in the manga. The Hashira training arc was 8 episodes long and also covered 12 chapters in the manga. The final battle arc, which consists of 2 parts, Infinity Castle and Sunrise Countdown, is 66 chapters long. So each of these films has to adapt almost double the material that Mugen Train did. Now, you could make the argument that because a majority of the content is combat focused, the adaptation will be much faster because there won't be as many dialogue heavy scenes, but I mean, come on, it's Demon Slayer. We know there's going to be a ton of flashbacks, character backstories, plenty of exposition, inner monologues, all of those good things. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if these movies ended up with a 2.5-hour runtime, but that would really be pushing the amount of production time that would be needed, so I think it's more likely that they will remain around 2 hours long. Oh, and keep in mind that if, for whatever reason, you don't feel like watching this trilogy in the movie theater, whatever their release date is, they will probably hit Crunchyroll about 2 months after that. At least that's how long it took Mugen Train to leave theaters and go digital. If I remember correctly, I believe Crunchyroll has exclusive streaming rights for new Demon Slayer content, so get ready for that whole platform to absolutely crash and burn with all of that traffic. But how are you guys feeling? Are you excited for 3 Demon Slayer movies? Or do you feel like 3 is too many? Do you wish they did seasons instead of films? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Also, I don't know if you knew this or not, but there is a free tier on my Patreon page. If you want to follow the channel a little more closely, this is a great way to do it. I'm going to start posting some content for free followers like polls or behind the scenes info every now and again, so be on the lookout for that. I also have to give a huge shout out to all the patrons who made this video possible, especially Javi G and Elias Aksanov. You guys have been with me since the beginning, even though I have the worst consistency in my upload schedule, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Malou, and I will see you storytellers in the next video.